L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love, is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart, but please don't break it. Love was made for me and you. Okay, here we go. L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love, is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart, but please don't break it. Love was made for me and you. I say love was made for me and you. Hello, I'm Richard Jeunesse, and welcome to the first edition of my brand new show, Schenectady, USA. And before we go any further, I want to dedicate this show, we're going to get serious for a minute here, I want to dedicate this show to Trayvon Martin, a young man who all of America is grieving right now, grieving the death of. Trayvon, we love you, and that in death you are going to prove to help heal this nation. Heal the soul of this nation and transform this nation into a nation of love. Well, folks, it's been almost 3 years since I've had a show. I used to be on Channel 16 back in 2008 and 9, and it's so good to be back. A lot of water has been passed in the last 3 years, as the saying goes. I know I've passed a lot of water myself. There's been a lot of changes with Channel 16 and SAC, Schenectady Access Cable. As you know, in 2009 we created the OSM over in Proctor's Theater, and Democracy Now! You can see Democracy Now! On OSM every morning at 8 o'clock. And also every evening at 7 p.m., that would be Monday through Friday. But SAC, the Schenectady Access Cable Council, which has been going since 1974, still exists. We're the parent organization here. And we have a brand new studio, and that's where I'm filming from right now. And the studio is on number 2 Knott Terrace, right across from Union College. And we are a nonprofit membership organization. And I'm going to give you our web address. It is schenectadyaccess.org. And come and visit our website. And just as love is made for you and me, access is made for you and me. Folks, that's what the cable law of 1974 intended, that television is for everyone. And you have a right to make television and to be a guest on television. So we want you to contact us, contact me, and contact SAC, and we're here for you to help you make media here in your community. So really there's 2 places to make media now in Schenectady, here at Knott Terrace and at OSM at Proctor's. So what has happened in the last 3 years since I've been on? Well, a lot of things. One of the big things to hit Schenectady, actually 7 months ago today, was of course Hurricane Irene. It was a massive hurricane, and it didn't just pass by us. When it came by us, it stopped for 24 hours, and it poured rain down on us for 24 hours, creating horrendous flooding and horrendous damage and suffering to so many people in our area here. And I just want to commend our fellow SAC member, Janice Thompson, who has been working very hard to help the victims of that flooding. And she just had an event just last Saturday night over here at the Holiday Inn, just a few doors from here, and raised over $3,000 for the victims of that flooding. But she's raised, I think, about over $20,000 total, because she's working very hard. And the name of her organization is Storm Aid. What else has been happening in the last 3 years in our Schenectady area? Well, we made a major movie. A Hollywood movie was made here last summer in 2011. And the name of that movie was The Place Beyond the Pines. And now that is what the word Schenectady means. In Mohawk language, the word Schenectady means the place beyond the pines. And we had some major movie stars coming to Schenectady, such as Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper, and the lovely Eva Mendes. And folks, I got a chance to meet Eva Mendes because she came to my cafe. I'm the owner of the Moon and River Cafe in the Stockade, as some of you may know. And Eva would come to my place. She probably came over a dozen times. And it was just such a pleasure to meet her. And I have a nice autographed picture of her on my wall, so come on down and see it. And what else? Let's see. Now, if you're watching this show from far away, let me say a word about Schenectady. We're a city with great history. We were founded in the 1660s when the Dutch bought this land from the Indians. And we have a great industrial history. We are actually the birthplace of television. General Electric Corporation started TV, and the very first TV broadcast was in Schenectady in 1927. And the house that it was broadcast from is just a few blocks from here. And I think in the future, when we have our field camera and we can stroll around the city, I'm going to take you over there. I'm going to look at the house where the very first TV broadcast was from. And of course, we had ALCO, the American Locomotive Company, that produced over 50,000 train engines from approximately 1850 to 1950. So we have a mighty history, and we're going to walk around Schenectady in the future, and I'm going to show you some of our beautiful history, because this show isn't just a broadcast in Schenectady County now. We're reaching out to Time Warner Cable in Albany, and that's the surrounding area. And then we're going on the internet too. So we're going worldwide with Schenectady, USA. And I'm just so honored, really, and happy to be doing this. This is my first show from this new location, and we're going to put out some good product for you. And then also in the last 3 years, we had Occupy. The Occupy movement, which happened all over America, and that has changed the dialogue and changed the political conversation in this country for the better. For example, 72% of the American people now favor much higher taxes for the very wealthy and for the corporations. So we're on a move to transform some of the politics that are unfair and make our union a better union. And my next week guest is going to talk quite a bit about that. Valerie Ackerman was very active in Occupy, still is active in Occupy. And speaking of political activists, at my cafe just last Saturday we had a very special guest. I had a presidential candidate at my cafe, the Green Party presidential candidate. Her name is Jill Stein, and she is an MD actually. She's a medical doctor from the state of Massachusetts. And she ran for statewide office in Massachusetts and got 13% of the vote as a Green. And if you know anything about politics, that is a major accomplishment for a third party to get such a high percentage. So she was very inspiring, and she was in Schenectady just last week. And then, of course, while we're talking politics, I want to say a word about fracking. Fracking is such a serious issue that is happening all around the country right now. And I just want to have you imagine for a moment, think of the symbolism here. What is it, if you want to look at it poetically, what would you describe it? It could be, I call it shooting, it's like shooting a gun at the earth, you know, just right off the top. It doesn't sound like a very good idea. And why? To get those tiny little bubbles of natural gas that are embedded in rock a mile down in the earth. That doesn't sound like a very good idea. Can those tiny little bubbles of natural gas be worth it? The process poisons our drinking water. It wastes. It's a great water waster in addition to a water poisoner. It causes earthquakes. It's caused many earthquakes in Arkansas and Ohio. And they know because when they stopped the fracking, the earthquakes stopped. If a terrorist tried to come and poison our drinking water, we would lock them up so fast. But when our own corporations do it, we seem to have a blind spot. And another thing about fracking, it's incredibly inefficient. It really is a scam. It really doesn't pay for itself because the energy spent up front to get those tiny little bubbles of natural gas that are down in the rock there's so much energy spent up front that it will never really pay off. It will never pay for itself. But you and me are going to pay for it when we lose our precious drinking water. So I advise you to go to a certain website called foodandwaterwatch.org if you want to find out more about fracking and what you can do about it. And they have a 12-page report entitled The Case for a Ban Against Fracking. And as I said, I'm the owner of the Moon and River Cafe, and it's been here in Schenectady almost 8 years. And we have live music there 7 nights a week, so I'm speaking to all the musicians out there. If you want a place to play, you can come down to the Moon and River Cafe, and you can access me at moonandrivercafe.com. And we are on South Ferry Street in the Stockade. And speaking of restaurants, I want to just mention that I visited a few restaurants, new restaurants that have just opened up in Schenectady. The first one is the Inca Maya, a great name, Inca Maya, named after two major Indian tribes in South America. And the Inca Maya is at 1500 State Street, folks, right in the middle of Schenectady. And it's run by a very nice gentleman from Guatemala named Byron. And I think he does just breakfast and lunch, but stop by and see Byron and get some of his great food and ethnic food. Another restaurant is the Casa Real, and Christopher and I just had dinner there last night. Christopher is our cameraman here on the show. And Casa Real is in the Hannaford Plaza on Altamont Avenue. And it is owned by real Mexicans from Mexico, and their food is authentico. So I can recommend that. It's where Scarborough's used to be, over in the Hannaford Plaza. And the third restaurant I want to mention, and then we're going to get into my guest, because I have a guest on the show today, is Tara. Now, Tara is a Moroccan restaurant, and that's right here in downtown Schenectady. It's on Liberty Street, right near the post office, and it is owned by a very wonderful couple, Anissa and Muntasin. And if you go there, you'll see their lovely baby daughter, Zoli. So, and they have some dish. They have a dish called a tagine, and believe me, that is the most wonderful dish. It comes to you sizzling in a clay pot that it was cooked in. And because the clay holds its heat for so long, it comes to your table sizzling, and it stays hot. It stays hot for a long time while you enjoy your dinner. So that is the Tara on Liberty Street, right here in downtown Schenectady. Well, I have a guest here with me today, and his name is Alec Acevedo. Talk about very first show, my very first guest, and his initials are AA. We're starting right at the beginning, and I want to welcome you, Alec. Welcome to Schenectady, USA. So good to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you are an artist, and you're a Schenectady native, isn't that right?
I am. I was born and raised here in Schenectady.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here pretty much all my life, except for going out to college.
Right. Now, you graduated from Schenectady High School.
That is true.
And
in the Sales School of Fine Arts, to be exact.
Right. Mm-hmm. Named after John Sayles, who's a great filmmaker. What year did you graduate?
2006.
Mm-hmm. And then you went off to college, and where did you go?
Right after graduation, I went to Syracuse University, where I studied illustration in the Visual and Performing Arts College.
Uh-huh. So you have a degree in fine arts, too?
Yep, I got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts with the concentration in illustration.
Uh-huh. And when did you decide you were an artist, or that you fell in love with art?
Well, I think I've always known that I was going to be an artist. Ever since before I can remember, I've always been drawing and, coloring, doodling, just on anything really that I could find. Funny story, I used to get in trouble in school for doodling on my test papers and homework when I handed it in. So the teachers would tell my parents that I needed a sketchbook or something to really focus my skills away from schoolwork.
Well, that's great. Not too many people can make their living on their art, and you are one of those few people. How do you ever do that?
Well, I'm still trying to. I work at J Street Video Games in Crossgates and Colony Center Mall, so I have something to support that. But I'm also doing freelance illustration, and I do commission work as well.
Uh-huh. Now, J Street Video Games, that started in Schenectady, didn't it?
Yeah, right on J Street.
Yeah, but they didn't stay there maybe a year or so, I think.
A little over a year. It was about a year and a half.
Yeah, and then they moved to 2 locations, Crossgate Mall and Colony Center, huh?
Yep.
And you work at both of them, do you?
Yes. I mainly work at Crossgates. That's where most of my artwork and it's mainly where I stay. But I do go back and forth.
By the way, I want to say that the logo that you saw at the beginning of the show was done by Alec, and thank you very much, Alec, for making a beautiful logo for us. Now, we brought some of your art, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of your art. Now, this first piece I want to show is, we started out with a haiku, didn't it? Let me take a sip of water here.
It's actually a project for the Syracuse, the city of Syracuse, where we worked with students from Syracuse University in the illustration program, worked with writers from all over Syracuse, and kind of as a collaborative project to help brighten up the streets of Syracuse. They're putting kiosks around.
Well, let me hold up this piece. And the haiku was before the art, so you were inspired by the haiku.
Yes.
I guess at Syracuse they gave you they gave all these art students some haiku, and you picked the one you wanted and drew a picture based on the haiku. For those of you who don't know, haiku is a Japanese form of poetry. It's always 3 lines. It has a certain number of syllables. Let me read this haiku, and then I'll show the picture on screen. White trillium's light, the dark forest floor glowing, ghostly like spilled stars. So that image spoke to you, and this is what he came up with here. A picture of a forest floor glowing, and I'll hold it up a little better, glowing at night, the magical image, powerful image of our earth, naturally glowing from within, it seems almost, because the trilliums are picking up the light of the moon and the stars, and it's just such a beautiful image. So how did you get inspired to do this? I mean,
the city of Syracuse is a very beautiful city in itself. There's a lot of nice places with both forest and city, working together almost. The inspiration for this picture came from Oakwood Cemetery, which is right behind Syracuse University. So I would like to take walks there all the time.
And do trilliums grow there?
There aren't actually trilliums there, but there are in a few other places around Syracuse.
Yeah.
So I kind of fudged it a little bit, melded them together. But
well, trilliums are a local flower. They grow in the Northeast, and they're actually a protected flower. Did you know that? It's supposedly against the law to pick a trillium.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's one image, and let's move on to the next one here. And this is an image from your children's book. You wrote a children's book entitled Bobbert, the Blue Duck, and I'm going to show you a picture of Bobbert here, the blue duck, and that's very. I read the book. It's a great book, and you not only drew the pictures, but you wrote the story as well. Huh?
Yes, that's true. Actually, I wrote it in high school, in my senior year of high school, for a class. Where we had to pretty much come up with our own, unique story and illustrate it ourselves. It was actually for an elementary school that we all recorded the. We talked about him. We read the story and recorded it and sent it to the elementary school for the children.
Yeah, well, it's a great story for children. It's really kind of about bullying, would you say, or finding your courage to.
Yeah, it's mostly about courage and pushing through.
Finding the courage to be a blue duck, if you are one, huh? To be yourself, huh? And to find your own power. Okay, well, let's look at the next image here. I love this one, Alec. This is a fox, kind of like scared by a mask. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
It was based off of an Aesop's fable called The Fox and the Mask.
Oh, I never knew about that. Oh.
So it's it's a very small poem about the fox going into the back of a theater, seeing all these props and things, and the mask, it's like a human face just staring at him.
Well, you got the body language of the fox very good, because he looks intimidated by that mask. Yeah, that's excellent. And by the way, folks, if you want to check out Alex's art, you can go to his website, which is
moonfoxart.com.
moonfoxart.com. Okay. And let's see what else we have. Now, this one is, I want to say a wolf. Is that right?
Yes.
Let me hold this one up here. Beautiful picture of a wolf. And what's the story behind that one?
Well, even judging from my my website the name of my website, I love animals. I love foxes and wolves especially. So they're just so interesting, especially wolves. The eyes of the wolf are probably the most expressive part of any animal, and especially the wolf.
Oh yeah, and these eyes show great depth and intelligence. You captured that very well. And I love this one too. This next picture is, it looks Egyptian. It is Egyptian style art, but what is the story behind it?
Well, it was actually something I did for class at Syracuse, where we had to take the story of Cinderella and apply it to a different culture. So it was kind of a way of reimagining something, one of the great classics, just as something different, something we would never normally see.
So it's Cinderella Egyptian style, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
And the image on the top is the fairy godmother?
Yeah, so that's Cinderella meeting her fairy godmother.
Cinderella meeting her Egyptian fairy godmother. Very powerful piece. And I like the hieroglyphics behind it too. And then we have a beautiful picture of a woman sitting on a bed, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we'll hold that up for a second. And how did the inspiration for this come about?
This was also for another class. It was a figure painting class, so figure drawing and figure painting. So we had one model that we worked with. I think for this one, holding the same pose for a little over a month. It was class once a week, so.
Yeah, she looks sad. Is she sad?
Yeah. It was a very interesting experience working with this model and with this teacher specifically. The teacher, Jerome Whitkin, is a very awesome teacher, very talented artist. So he gave the model almost like a background story for this pose. The story was about a woman who's went through a very traumatic experience. Her husband was out, in the winter taking down Christmas lights, I think it was, or putting them up, one or the other. He fell off of the roof and ended up, dying from the fall. and his body just kind of laid there in the snow, and she was so devastated by it that she, would sit there on the bed and just stare out the window at the falling snow, not move for weeks.
Oh my goodness!
So,
now, is that a true story, or did he just make this up for the art class?
I believe it was a true story.
Oh my God!
So the model really took that to heart, and there was just the expression in her face, and even the way that she was gripping the bed too, just made a very very powerful piece. So
well, I never knew the backstory to that, but now I understand it a lot more. Well, I have some other of your prints here, and we have an image of, it looks like war, Alec. It looks. Is it from World War II?
Yes.
Yeah, this is an image of a soldier in a bombed-out cathedral. Is that right? Yeah. That's a very powerful piece. You got any information about that?
Well, it was kind of just my first attempt at a triptych, to get that kind of 3 images in one.
I see.
Working together as a full image.
Right. By the way, folks, Alec has a show at the Moon and River right now through the month of April, and you can come down anytime and see his works, his originals, and there'll be a reception for you, right, on April 20th at 6 p.m., so come on down and meet Alex. And you do sell your prints, don't you?
Yes, I've got, prints, and some of the originals are out for sale as well.
Mm-hmm. Great. Here's a powerful piece. It looks like somebody just killed a giant. You can see the giant there lying on the ground and killed by a knight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You do a lot of fantasy art, don't you?
That's pretty much what most of my freelance art is done for a company called Savage Mojo that does fantasy games, role-playing games, card games, things like that. So most of the illustrations that I do are fantasy based.
And you get paid for those, right?
Yes.
From that company. Mm-hmm. And here's another powerful piece. Is this? I can't tell if it's a man or a woman.
It's a woman. It's actually the same model.
It's the same model. Wow, from the woman on the bed.
It's just a very fast figure painting.
Very nice. And this is a nice piece. This is the squirrels versus the ravens. Is that right? There's a war between the animals, folks. And if you look close, you'll see the squirrels are holding machine guns.
They've kind of, I based their weapons off of World War II, so the squirrels have the Allies' weapons and the crows have the Axis weapons.
I see. And what kind of weapons does the crow have? It looks like a crossbow, but it's not.
It's an MP40 actually, to get specific.
I see. A German gun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now there was a whole story behind that one too.
Oh yeah. What is that?
Actually, in Oakwood Cemetery, also. I mean, it's one of my favorite places of Syracuse, but. There was one year in particular, there was almost like an invasion of crows. That there was thousands of crows that would come in the wintertime. And there was always a lot of squirrels around before that. So it brought up an interesting question of what happened to the squirrels that were in those trees, when all of these crows invaded.
Wow.
So it was kind of like the squirrels defending their territory.
Yeah, I see. I get it. And probably the squirrels decided they couldn't live with all those crows around. It changed the ecology of the area. Wow, very interesting. And this is a very popular piece at the cafe. This is Johnny Depp's characters, right? Mm-hmm. This piece where he has all of the Johnny Depp characters, or many of them, sitting around one table. And I'm not sure I know all of them. If you could go through from left to right for me.
Sure.
Who's this guy?
That's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. So that's Willy Wonka. Johnny Depp's portrayal of Willy Wonka. Next would be Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
Trying to pick up the cup. In the middle is Captain Jack Sparrow.
From the Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Next on the top right is from the Sweeney Todd movie.
Right. I remember that. And the last one? The
last one is his portrayal of Raoul Duke, Hunter S. Thompson, in the movie Fear and Loathing of Las Vegas.
Who's Raoul Duke?
That was his pen name, I believe. that
Oh,
he
but
used.
Hunter S. Thompson was his
Yeah,
real name.
was the
Oh,
character.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then in the center is the Mad Hatter's hat.
Oh, okay.
I did this image before the Alice in Wonderland movie came out, so it was kind of it was my interpretation of his all of his characters that he had done before, kind of melded into one that worked towards the Mad Hatter character.
I see. Did the hat in the movie look a little like that hat?
Slightly. It was
Slightly?
a little
Okay.
more eccentric, I guess.
Yeah. All right. And here's another powerful piece of a giant spider. Looks like it's coming to eat a fairy, or.
Like, I guess it would be a normal sized
Let me
spider.
hold this one up
A
here.
little oversized spider.
Oh, I see. A normal-sized spider eating a very small gnome or fairy.
A fairy.
A fairy. Yeah, caught in his web. Boy, that's a very dramatic piece. And then lastly, we have a little political art here. Something about recycling, and that's a collage, isn't it?
Yeah, it was made all from recycled materials.
Very nice.
So-
Very nice. Yeah, newspapers. And it says, realize, react, and recycle, and how important that is in this late day 2012 with the Earth in such an ecological crisis that it is in. As I was talking about that earlier when I was talking about fracking and such. And I want to show you a copy of your book here, Bobbert the Blue Duck, which you've sold many copies of, haven't you?
I have actually. I've been a part of the Stockade Art Show every year in September, and that's when I first started selling the books, and it was just a huge hit. So I've been making copies of them.
Great.
I'm working on redoing it, finishing the paintings to get it published as a I'm probably going to self-publish it as a nice hardcover book.
Well, great. Well, good. And now I also know that you've made some animations, because we just saw them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
that
me a
was-
little bit about that.
That was another thing I did at Syracuse University. Was I took as many classes as I could in different fields of art. I took music. I played baritone saxophone in the band. I did figure painting, figure drawing, animation, some film stuff as well. But the animation I had a lot of fun with. I took it for almost 2 years while I was there. Did a lot of experimental animation, which is one of the animations we'll be seeing. Phoenix Tears was all done in sand on a light table, so just using sand, pouring it and mixing it around.
Oh my
Almost
God.
drawing with sand.
Drawing with sand. And the name of that piece is
Phoenix Tears.
Phoenix Tears. And you said it's about love?
It's about love and loss and
Uh-huh.
retribution. A lot of
Okay.
things.
And that's about 2 minutes long, you said?
A little over 2 minutes.
Okay, well we're gonna show that right now. We're gonna show a 2-minute animation by Alec Acevedo called Phoenix Tears, and then we will be right back. That was a very powerful piece. And we have another animation of yours that I'd like to show. And tell us about that. Set us up on that.
Actually, one more thing about the other one was it was featured. I won first place at the Schenectady Film Festival last year.
Oh,
with the
for Phoenix Cheers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's actually an award-winning animated short.
Award-winning animation. Well, congratulations. Was there a cash prize with that?
No, but I got a nice trophy.
Okay, very good. Okay, and tell us about the second piece that
Okay,
we're going to see.
This one is called War, the Progressive Self-Destruction of Man. This one was done all in Adobe Photoshop. I used a tablet to just pretty much draw out each individual scene. I guess the style would be similar to William Kentridge is a famous animator. He used charcoal and would redraw each scene. Take the picture, then redraw it. Take the picture, redraw it again. So it's. I think I spent almost over 300 hours just on this one animation.
Oh wow!
Phoenix Tears took even longer than that.
Oh
but
wow!
I won't get into that.
So it's called War, the Progressive
Self-Destruction of Man.
The Progressive Self-Destruction of Man. Boy, you're depressing me, Alex. It's supposed to be a happy show. Okay, well, folks, we're going to take, this one is 1 minute 20 seconds, is that right? Mm-hmm. We're going to take a look at this next animation by Alex Acevedo, War, the Progressive Destruction of Man. We are back, and that was a very powerful piece, Alex. Mm-hmm. What can I say? You know, it's such a heavy subject, isn't it? Yeah. And it started out as what was the first image? Apes, was it?
It starts out with apes. You know, I went as far back, you know, as I guess the simplest form of, you know, aggression towards another light, you know, being. Mm-hmm. Just kind of went from there to Native Americans with bows and, you know, the bow and arrow, to a pistol, to, you know, Civil War, getting to cannons. Mm-hmm. You know, just kind of gradually builds up to the atomic bomb in the end, which a lot of people think would be our ultimate destruction. Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, they say that what makes us human is our ability to make tools, but I don't believe that. I think what makes us human is our ability to feel compassion. Mm-hmm. And I read once that it wasn't the first club that made us evolve, but it was the first time that one of our ancestors held out food to share with another one of our ancestors, because maybe they realized that this other person was hungry, you know. So
working together.
Yeah, working together. Yeah. Well, folks, it's almost time to end our show. I want to thank you very much for watching Schenectady, USA, and I think I'm going to end it the way I began it, by singing my theme song, which is L-O-V-E. If I have to spell it out for you, it's L-O-V-E, and I'll be glad to spell it out for you. So in a minute, I'm going to come back and sing my theme song for you, and I'll be right back. L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love, is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart, but please don't break it. Love was made for me and you. Thank you for watching my show, everybody. Next week we'll have Valerie Ackerman on, a Schenectady activist. I'm ending the show with a song, begin the show with a song. Why not start your day with a song, end your day with a song? Okay, here we go. L is for the way you look at me. O is for the only one I see. V is very, very extraordinary. E is even more than anyone that you adore can love, is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart, but please don't break it. Love is made for me and you. I say love is made for me and you. Bye-bye and be cool. See you next week.